I think you're right about there not being dialogue, but there's certainly ways to de-radicalize people who are this entrenched.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just requires a level of manipulation and deception most people don't have the skill to actually perform or wouldn't want to due to, I don't know, perhaps scruples or something.
Daryl Davis?
No, Daryl Davis was unable. So you're familiar with Daryl Davis?
I don't know. Yeah.
Daryl Davis is one of the coolest guys ever.
So cool.
He is a jazz musician, and I think, is it blues or jazz?
I think it's blues.
Jeez,
Blues.
I think they're the same kind of music. Maybe I'm crazy.
Blues and jazz.
I don't know why.
I think he's a blues musician, and he's a middle-aged black man. He said one day, you know, I forgot. I don't know. I don't want to ruin his story, but he saw a story about, you know, the Klan, and he thought, how can these guys hate me if they've never met me? And so he went to a Klan rally and talked to these guys, and actually ended up hanging out. One of his best stories that because I did a speaking event, he was the headliner. He said there was one guy who was in the Klan, and you know, Daryl's a musician. He's got friends, he's got connections.
Yeah.
Turns out this Klan guy was a big rock and roll fan. So he said, there's like this famous car from this famous rock star. He's like, oh yeah, I know who's got it. I can get you. I can get you in it. You can sit down. And this guy was like, what? And then he was like, he brings this Klan guy out to this museum or whatever to see this famous, you know, hot rod or whatever. And the Klan guy hugs him. And this guy, like, that was it. As soon as he realized, you know, everything he was being taught wasn't true. He said that there was
I'm going to ask you, does Daryl Davis come from a faith background?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
There was one guy, he said that he would hang out with him, and the guy was still very much in the Klan until one day he was at a rally and they were saying things and he went, that doesn't describe Daryl. And then he was just like, this doesn't make sense. But here's the best part. We put on a speaking event near my house in the Philadelphia area, a few miles from it, and Antifa from way further out told the press we won't allow them to come to our neighborhood. And I was like, it's my neighborhood. I live here. Threatened to burn the theater down. So the theater kicks us out. But we still had an event planned across the street for the after party. And we refused. Like, if we can go, we're going to go. And I was like, I'll tell you what. If we get banned from both venues, I will march down that street.
Yeah.
But the bar across the street was like, dude, we're not backing down. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, Daryl's awesome. Why would they try and get this guy banned? Well, here's
he's
the best
literally
part.
Converting Klansmen.
Exactly.
But wait,
Like,
you ready for this? We have the after party, and protesters showed up.
yeah.
Local police had to seal off the street and escort us in. We go inside, and Daryl's there, and I meet him. I'm like, you know, or I met him at the event, but I was like, good to see you, glad you came. And, you know, he asked me about the protesters. He goes out to talk to the protesters as a black man, and do you know what they called him?
oh, I want to know, but I don't want to know. Tell me.
You know.
You know deep
Four-letter
down.
word.
Yeah.
Starts with N.
What?
Oh.
They called him a Nazi.
A Nazi.
And he made a post on Facebook about it, explaining how he's been able to meet with and talk with Klan members and white supremacists and de-radicalize over 200 just by trying to understand them and talk to them. Wow. And that when he approached these people, they just started yelling and calling him Nazi and white supremacist, and he was shocked.
Dude, this troubles me.
Yeah.
It's like most people have really not, walk the walk, right? This guy de-radicalizing 200 Klansmen has probably done more to fight actual white supremacy than anyone in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Well, so you know why it wasn't just a bunch of random morons being like, "Duh, you're a Nazi." A lot of them were, but some of them know who he is.
Yeah.
They knew who he was, and they said, "You are friends with Nazis. You're a Nazi."
Oh, okay. The
Yep.
association.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there were I think a couple of the higher profile activists who were organizing it. They were like, "We know you, Daryl. We know you hang out with Nazis."
I still think his method is good, and that if you try and interact with them on the street, they're going to come out with you with the mob mentality. But if you get them one-on-one, it's a little easier to do Daryl's method. His methodology.
The reason,
Not Daryd.
So I've seen the tactics and techniques of this are not just in the ideology and the literature. It's also in the activist organizing, which is don't allow your activists to speak to anyone. And I'm not exaggerating. This is a tried and true leftist tactic they use at almost all of their protests.
Programming technique.
For sure.
Yeah.
During Occupy Wall Street, they would actually tell everyone. They would say, "Okay, everyone, we're going to, do a march. If anyone tries talking to you, just chant them down. Don't let them speak. They're going to lie." I was in San Bernardino for a protest. It was a bunch of Trump people were like waving flags, so Antifa shows up. I walk across the street, and there was a group of people wearing all black and black bloc. And I was like, hey, how's it going? Like, anybody want to tell me just like what's going on? And then all of a sudden a woman goes, don't talk to him. Mic check, mic check, mic check. And they all start chanting mic check. It's a thing
They're
they
actually
do.
barking at people now. Have you seen these videos on Twitter?
Yep.
Like,
Literally?
literally barking like dogs, like a group of people. It's like,
The goal
it's
is
so strange.
They have a thing that's been around for a while. It's called mic check. The people's mic. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not. Yeah.
So one person yells mic check, and then everyone else in the crowd yells mic check back.
Okay.
They say the technique was developed to make it so that if you can't use amplification, by having everyone repeat the words, everyone can hear. It's actually a programming technique. So we talked about this the other day with Jack Murphy, where
I had coffee with Jack. Good
so
guy.
so Jack mentioned that when they force you to say something, it's rewiring your brain to try and get you to say it, right?
Yeah.
It's part of the struggle sessions.
Yeah.
The people's mic is literally that.
Dude, they did it at Occupy Wall Street, and then so I went up to speak, and I was like, nah, I just screamed at everyone in the crowd as loud as I could. No mic check. Just overrode the system.
So the idea is if you say mic check and they say mic check, and then you say all cops, and they go, all cops are bad, and they yell are bad, you're making them say it over and over again. All cops are bad. And so it's wiring their brain as they say it and they see it and they believe it.
I mean, it's how you teach children. It's how you teach kindergartners the alphabet and the states and any kind of rote memorization that structures grammar in their brains, structures reading, literacy. I mean, it's the same principle applied to, unfortunately, grown adults.
Let me ask you, man. You go on Tucker, you say all this stuff, Donald Trump, we're going to get it done. What do you think would happen if Hillary Clinton was president?
Well, I certainly wouldn't have been dumb enough to call on the president to abolish critical race theory. But
you'd still have to.
Because you want to make it. You don't want to make those kind of asks unless you think there's some chance of it happening. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, and I don't think it's appropriate. You'd want to the kind of the posture at that time when you're in the minority is very different than when you have a friendly administration, and and people kind of upset at me about it and blah 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 Trump. It's like I didn't even vote for Trump in 2016. I voted third party. I wasn't into either major party candidate, and but I will say now and kind of in retrospect maybe made the wrong decision because frankly not only would Hillary Clinton not have done this at all, but none of the other people in the Republican primary in 2016 would have done it either.
Right.
A President Jeb Bush would say, oof, racial issues, get me out the door as far away from this stuff as possible. I'm going to hide under the table and suck on a pacifier. I mean, this is like...
It would have been a funny presidency.
It would have been
No Bush.
No more Bush. Yeah, no more Bushes.
Could you imagine a pathetic and weak, inept Bush trying to start wars? Please go to war.
And that's the other thing too. And honestly, from my own perspective about the president, it's like, that was a fear of mine in the 2016 campaign. It's Donald Trump is reckless. He's the chaos candidate. They had all these beautiful linguistic instructions, the 3 a.m. phone call, and all of these kind of ideas that were meant to sow doubt in your mind during the campaign. And it worked. And I was saying, oof, this guy, I don't know, no political experience, fighting. And I mean, you have a guy who you think would be waging war in the Middle East if you would listen, and he actually made peace in the Middle East. It's extraordinary.
His first couple of years were not so good. John Bolton was a mistake.
Yes,
but things have been improving a lot since he kind of took the reins back.
Yeah.
So who do you think's going to win?
I don't know. I was in the White House today and meeting with some folks, and it's tense anticipation, right? Because their jobs are at stake. I mean, it's a unique employment environment where if your guy loses the election, everyone loses their job. But the spirits were actually pretty high. People were excited. People were making plans for next year. So I don't think so. And one person told me something very interesting. He said, this would require a major kind of polling science error that we've never had before. But
I think so.
But during the Brexit process, Brexit was down, and I may not get this exactly right. This is coming secondhand, but Brexit was down 4 points in the polling and won by 4 points.
Wow,
that's an 8-point swing.
Yeah.
From what they're telling me. So,
do you want Donald Trump to win?
I do. Yeah,
I've got some good news for you.
You said nod when you said it.
Yeah.
It was the Sullivan nod. You're like, you want Donald Trump to win.
Say it with me. Mike check. Donald Trump must. So I got some good news. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you it's not so easy to say the polls are right. In an interview with Politico, Robert Cahaley of, I think I'm pronouncing it right, of Trafalgar Group, said in 2016, first of all, they got the numbers right. It was Trump 306 to Hillary 232. And they're saying Trump is going to win now. Helmut Norpoth is predicting Trump a 91% chance of winning with 362 electoral votes based on his primary tracking model, which has been correct 25 out of 27 times. More importantly, if the pollsters corrected their mistakes from 2016, then we should have seen improvement in the midterms. We didn't. In Florida, they were off by 4 points. They thought that DeSantis was going to lose.
Yeah.
He didn't. They were wrong. The polls were wrong again. Nobody brings that up. That was it. I was reading it today and I said, whoa.
Yeah.
That should have been a huge thing. And Trafalgar Group brings up something really interesting. The conditions that made it so people were scared to admit they'd vote for Trump are 100 times worse today than they were in 2015 or 16. In 2016, the worst thing is that if you said you were voting for Trump, people would scowl at you.
Yeah.
Today, they'll come to your house. They'll throw a brick at you. They'll mob you at a restaurant. Did you see what happened in New York with the Jews for Trump rally?
Yeah.
This wasn't Antifa who did this, okay? Everybody says, oh, these Antifa and everything. And yes, there's problems with Antifa. Regular progressive New Yorkers started throwing rocks and eggs at cars. And one person, I think it was a woman, went up to one of the vehicles and pepper sprayed children. The level of depravity from these people. So I tell you, man, we're seeing a lot of people actually come out, wave their flags, and march around and say Trump, Trump. I'll tell you this: I just got some information from people I know back home in Chicago, like shockingly alerting me to the fact that someone we know has just voted straight Republican, Donald Trump and down-ticket Republican, for the first time in their lives, and they couldn't believe it. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Look, I've got people I know in my life where I'm like, wow, I can't believe it. They're voting Republican. My friends and family are all Chicago, deep blue Chicago.
Yeah.
When I was like, I can't remember how old I was. My family told me we're going to the polls today. I said, who do I vote for? Just vote Democrat for everyone.
All right.
Now I've got people hitting me up and being like, dude, did you hear so-and-so? I swear they came over and they're like, dude, we're voting Trump and everybody. And I'm like, these stories are real?
Yeah.
Because I saw a story on, I think it was the Donald's own web, the Donald.win, it's their own website, where someone was like, you know, our neighbors came over and told us that they, for the first time, were voting for Trump and Republicans, and they had been Democrats, and they were worried. They said we were scared if we told them we were voting for Trump, they would be like really mad at us and scowl at us.
Yeah.
And then they came in and said, we have to tell you, like, we're voting for Trump. And then immediately the guy's like, I'm getting the MAGA hats.
Yeah.
So
out of the hidden place in the closet.
That's
but I'll tell you, a story like that, it shows you the fear the individual has to admit to his own neighbors he's going to vote for Trump. And the text message I got, I'll tell you what I've been told over and over again by my friends back in Chicago is, dude, you can't tell anybody, dude. I'll lose my job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. You know what's really funny? Whenever I tell these stories, I get all these leftists commenting on my Twitter, being like, Tim's making up stories again. You don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe it.
No, they
Look,
do.
Trump
That's,
might lose, okay?
Yeah.
But it is true that this stuff's happening. I got a friend I met during a Black Lives Matter protest in Ferguson for years. 2014 we met. She's posting Black Lives Matter, Orange Man, and then finally when Trump comes around, she's tweeting like, I can't believe this. What is wrong with this country? Now it's MAGA. It's like, dude. I saw her Twitter feed and I was like, this is nuts. So I sent her a DM and I'm like, we met at a Black Lives Matter rally. How are you posting like, go Donald Trump Jr. woohoo and MAGA 2020? And she was like, dude, I started actually watching the videos. I started actually reading what was going on. Wow. And I was like, that's it.
That's interesting.
Once the leftists desperately need to make sure that no one reads news outside of their echo chamber. And that's why you get the likes of Brian Stelter when he went on, he did this episode a year or so ago where he's like, don't go and watch Fox News. Don't watch The Spin. Only come to us. Yeah. Or you get, I think it was Jake Tapper who was like, remember, you can't read WikiLeaks' emails. You can only we're allowed to have them. That's what they've been desperately trying to maintain. And then you had Micah Brzezinski on MSNBC say, it's our job to tell people what to think or whatever. It's like, or control what people think. That's what they rely on. But if people do the research, then all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free. If you want to listen to us there, Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.